Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be speaking about how the things we want to manifest most are often the things we fear most. How we are usually in resistance to becoming a new version of ourselves, and how we are often refusing to do the things we know we need to do in order to manifest the changes we want to see. Also, just quickly before I begin the video, my good friend Greg has just started a YouTube channel of his own. His channel is called Expand with Gregory. I'll leave it linked in the description box. So definitely go and check him out. He's got so much wisdom to share. He's a beautiful soul, and I know you'll get so much from watching his videos, so please check him out, okay? Many people somewhat know, actions that they can take and need to take in order to achieve the things they want to manifest, yet they do not. Most people have somewhat of an idea of things they know they need to do and can do to make a change in their life in the direction of manifesting the thing they want, yet instead they opt for manifestation techniques and manifestation beliefs that tell you to just sit there and visualize and do nothing else, and your life will change if you do that. Usually, these actions that they know they need to take to achieve the thing they want to manifest are actions they would actually be taking anyway if they manifested being that version of themselves in that reality, yet currently they are resisting taking those actions. For example, I know many people who have tried to manifest being a really successful YouTuber, and obviously a logical conclusion if you want to do that is to make videos, and yet they are trying to manifest being a YouTuber while refusing to make any videos. Many people are trying to manifest being a writer, yet they are not ever writing. They're not practicing that skill, that craft. Many people are trying to manifest being a chef, yet they're never cooking and never making new recipes. Instead, they've got this strange idea where I'll just sit here, visualize being this thing, and I'll somehow become this thing. Yet they are literally in resistance to actively becoming this thing. And this is something I've noticed is occurring with many people in the manifestation community, and not many people seem to be noticing that they are doing this. And the reason why I believe this is occurring for so many people is because the thing you want most, the thing you desire most, your dream, is also the thing you fear most. Because the thing you desire most, naturally, is the thing that is completely outside of your comfort zone. And therefore, you have a whole unconscious system within you trying to stop you from doing that thing. You know, wanting something implies we do not have that thing. Desire itself implies a separation. It implies we do not have that thing. If you want something, it means you aren't currently experiencing having it in the present moment, okay? So if you want something, that means it is outside of your comfort zone, and that means you will be afraid to actually achieve that thing. Because it means that naturally, to get that thing, you will have to step outside of your comfort zone, and that will be uncomfortable. Our comfort zone is a series of thoughts, feelings, and therefore actions we are repeating that are therefore familiar to us, that is getting us the same result we continue to get. So naturally, if you want a new result, if you want something new, you have to step out of that pattern. And that is going to be uncomfortable because it means experiencing thoughts, feelings, and actions that are unfamiliar to us. The thing you want most, and just anything you want, is outside of that sphere of comfortability. It is outside of the pattern of thoughts, feelings, and actions you are comfortable with and familiar with and are repeating, that is getting you the result you are currently getting. And so naturally, the bigger the desire, the bigger the dream, the bigger the fear is going to be. Because the bigger the dream, the more outside of your current reality it is. And your current reality is your comfort zone. It's the thoughts, feelings, and actions that are getting you the result, the reality you are in. It is the thing that is manifesting what you are experiencing. It is the thing keeping you in alignment with the reality you are experiencing. So the bigger the dream, the more outside of your comfort zone, the more outside of that familiar, safe pattern it is. And therefore, naturally, there is going to be a lot of resistance to experiencing it. And, you know, many people will think it's crazy when they hear somebody say that your biggest dream, your desire, is also the thing you fear most. But this is a very natural process. And when we understand this, we can actually increase our chances of manifesting something new. Because when we understand this resistance is happening within us, we can then actually deal with it consciously when it comes up, and therefore prevent it from actually stopping us from taking action forward. Our unconscious mind, our ego, its goal is to protect us, which means keeping us within the comfort zone. And this is not necessarily a negative thing. It's negative when it's left unconscious. But the actual process itself is actually extremely logical, because if you think, anything that is new to us obviously does pose a bigger threat than experiences we have already had that we have tried and tested, okay? So obviously anything new does pose a bigger threat, and your unconscious mind recognizes this and therefore attempts to keep you within the known, within your current comfort zone, to protect you from the danger it is perceiving. So this is a very logical process. However, when we are not aware that this resistance will naturally come up when we're trying to achieve something, it can prevent us. And I do believe people being unconscious about this mental process that occurs is the reason why many people opt for manifestation techniques that just tell them to sit there, visualize, and they will manifest a whole new reality by doing that. But by doing that, you are in direct contradiction to becoming a new version of yourself, okay? Because the thing that is manifesting your current reality is a pattern of thoughts, feelings, and therefore actions that you are repeating. And your thoughts, feelings, and actions are in alignment with one another. We act as we believe. So if you genuinely did sit there and visualize, and you genuinely did successfully change your thoughts and feelings, you would be acting differently anyway. If you believed differently, you would be acting differently anyway, okay? So if you believed you are a YouTuber, you'd be acting like it. If you believed you are a good writer, you would be writing, okay? So if you are in resistance to taking these actions, you are contradicting yourself. And that's the issue with manifestation techniques that tell you to sit on your arse and do nothing else. If you are doing that, you are in direct contradiction to becoming a new version of yourself, because the version of you that you are is your comfort zone. You are your comfort zone. You are the thoughts, feelings, and actions you are repeating. So in order to become a new version of yourself and line up with a new reality, we have to become a new version of ourselves. And that means implementing new thoughts, new feelings, and therefore new actions. Because if you successfully change your thoughts and feelings, you would be acting differently. If you believed that you were that person, you would be acting like it. The thing that has changed my life is not just sitting there and visualizing. It is taking action. It is actively embodying a new version of myself. That is the thing. Like, if I was to pick one thing that I think is, or I know has really changed my life, it would be action, embodying that new version of myself, not visualizing. That is one part of the process, but the action is when it all comes together. The action is really the embodiment, because like I said if you successfully changed your thoughts and feelings, you would then be acting differently anyway, because obviously whoever you believe you are, whoever you truly believe you are, that is how you are going to be acting. When we take action, it's when the thoughts and the feelings really embody in a tangible way. And understanding that really is the thing that changed my life. And when I got comfortable with the idea of being uncomfortable, stepping outside of the comfort zone, that really is when my life changed, because that's when I changed. That's when I changed. And so that's when my life changed. Because we get a reflection of who we are being, and who we are being is the pattern that we are repeating. You are the patterns you repeat. You are the thoughts, feelings, and actions that you repeat every day. So in order to become a new version of ourselves, we need to implement a new pattern, and that also means actions. The thoughts and the feelings are one part of it, and they are an important part, but the reason I'm emphasizing the action part is because it is the part of the process that people are most resistant to, because it is the most uncomfortable part. The thing that changed my life and improved my life was walking into my fear. It was making a conscious choice to be uncomfortable and to allow myself to go through that and not run away from it. Because our initial response is to run away from things that make us uncomfortable. But uncomfortability is you stretching into a new place of flexibility. Okay? It's you coming out of one comfort zone and going into another. I always use stretching as an example because it's like the perfect analogy. We're not flexible, we're in a current comfort zone where we're capable of certain things within that comfort zone. So we're not flexible, we then stretch, it's uncomfortable because that muscle has not gone that far before. We keep doing it, and then it eventually becomes comfortable because we have stretched into a new comfort zone. So we have stretched into a new sphere of comfortability. And that is required to create a new reality. It's a prerequisite. You cannot have a new reality unless you become something new. You know, when I was younger and I'd been doing the same things that I see so many people doing today, which is just thinking they can just visualize and continue taking the same actions they were taking yesterday and think their life will change, think that they will get a new result. I used to do that, and I stayed stuck until I changed that. I stayed stuck until I just got to the end of my rope, you know, and it's really good when we get to that place, because oftentimes we have to just get to the end of our rope to say, I'm changing something now. I have to do something drastic. And because we're just so fed up of seeing the same shit every day, when you're just sitting on your ass visualizing and nothing's changing. And I got to that point and I was like, I'm just going to do it. And now it's kind of like my personality. Now I'm kind of just like a bull in a china shop. Now when I want to achieve something, I'm kind of like hardcore about it, because I've understood this is the way. Like, walking into your fear and your uncomfortability is the way. And when I chose to do that, every inch of my life changed. Manifestations I hadn't even thought about for years suddenly started coming to me, because I was no longer sitting there visualizing being a new person whilst repeating the actions of who I was yesterday over and over again. I said, I'm going to embody the changes I want to see now. If I want to be this person who does this thing, I'm going to take action towards it every day. If you sit there visualizing yourself being a YouTuber every day, yet you do not ever make videos, you're not going to become a YouTuber. If you sit there every day visualizing yourself being a writer, yet you never write, you're not going to become a writer. If you sit there every day visualizing yourself being an amazing chef, yet you never cook and you never practice, you're not going to become a chef. And that may sound harsh, but people need to hear this just like I did. And nobody told me, I just realized it. I had to learn the hard way. but maybe some people don't need to if they can hear me and understand what I'm saying, because I get so many questions. People DM me on Instagram all the time, and I can tell very quickly that they are in this place of just thinking they can sit there and visualize and change their entire life whilst they're just continuing to take the same actions. They are continuing to be the same person and thinking they can get a different result. And I have directly learned that does not work. And even just on a energetic, very practical level, this makes complete sense, because your comfort zone is what is manifesting your reality. The patterns you are repeating are manifesting the results you are getting. So if you want a new result, you have to change that. And like I said, even if you did sit there visualizing and you successfully changed your thoughts and feelings with that visualization, you would be acting differently anyway. So you are literally in resistance to manifesting something new and becoming something new if you have decided to create a new reality just by sitting on your backside. You are in resistance to creating a new reality. And it's because you are terrified of stepping outside of your comfort zone, which is understandable, but it's a part of life. It's a natural, healthy part of life. And it's so enriching. It's so empowering. I'm a completely different version of myself than I was when I was like 20. I'm an entirely different person. I'm incredibly empowered compared to how I was back then. And that is because I chose to be uncomfortable. That decision is the decision that changed my life. Choosing to be uncomfortable, choosing to go through the uncomfortability of change is what changed my life. It is what made me a new version of myself. It isn't, no one said it's easy. It's not meant to be easy. And expecting it to be easy is going to keep you stagnant. If you are expecting to change your life and for it to be easy, that's going to keep you stuck. I had this voice telling me, I had this knowing that I had to walk into that uncomfortability in order to improve my life. I understood that doing that was the answer. And it was incredibly uncomfortable. It was incredibly uncomfortable. I had so many painful experiences because I was facing my fear. I was walking into it. You know, it's like if you're scared of spiders and you choose to overcome that fear in order to get to a place where you're no longer afraid of spiders, you're going to have to hold some spiders and it's going to be uncomfortable. Back when I was in my early 20s, I was terrified of being seen in all aspects, all areas of life. I was terrified of being seen, but I just intuitively knew that allowing myself to be seen in my truth, in my authenticity, was the answer to everything. When I did that, it improved every inch of my life. It improved every aspect of my life. A lot of people like to disregard taking action by saying it's forcing reality. It's definitely not forcing reality. I certainly wasn't in a forcing energy. Quite the opposite, actually. It was actually, honestly, when I changed my life, I pretty much let go of the idea of trying to make reality something particular. And it was more about me becoming who I wanted to be. Like I'd had enough of just being stuck in this version of me that I felt trapped in because it wasn't who I was. And I honestly felt like I was just stuck in this very restricted version of myself. So I said, like, screw this. I'm not being bound by anything anymore. I'm going to be free. I'm going to free myself. And honestly, at that point, I couldn't care less anymore if reality changed. I was honestly just sick of being a version of myself I didn't want to be anymore. I couldn't care less at that point if my reality changed. Because the thing is, that is sometimes the thing keeping us stuck, needing reality to change so that it gives you some kind of permission to be a different version of yourself. That's your problem. So many people have decided, I'll become a new version of myself when reality changes, because you don't realize reality changes when you do. So I actually came to a point where I was done trying to force reality. I was like, I'm done with this shit. I'm not visualizing my reality changing anymore. I'm just going to bloody change. And that's when everything changed. So actually, in a sense, this is letting go of trying to force everything. This is you giving yourself permission to be a different version of you instead of waiting for reality to do it. Because so many people are sitting on their bed trying to become something whilst then getting up, and it's like you're trying to manifest being a YouTuber, but you're waiting to make the videos until you become a YouTuber. And that's the huge contradiction here with just thinking you can visualize and not take action. That's the huge contradiction that's keeping you stuck. You're waiting for reality to give you permission to change because you don't realize you need to change in order for reality to change. Reality is waiting for you to give it permission. Reality is not going to change until you give it permission by changing yourself. You're not going to wake up one day and be that thing you want to be. You have to get up one day and choose to be that thing. That's not you trying to force reality. That's you saying, I don't give a fuck if reality changes anymore. I've had enough. I'm changing because I want to be something different. Because I feel like this version of myself I'm in is not who I really am. I feel like I am a more confident person. I feel like I'm a more creative person, so I'm going to do it. And I encounter this with so many people. They're visualizing themselves being a particular thing, like they're visualizing themselves being a writer as an example. And then I ask them a few questions and I discover very quickly they are never writing. Because and I'll ask them and they'll say to me, I'm not going to write until I've got like a writing job. And I'm like, how the hell are you going to manifest getting a writing job if you aren't even writing? So you aren't even practicing your skill, and yet you're just expecting to wake up one day and you'll be a writer, yet you aren't even writing? Because you're waiting for reality to give you permission. You're waiting for reality to give you the permission you're meant to be giving reality by doing that thing. If you want to become a particular thing, practice that craft. How the hell can you manifest the opportunity to become a writer if you're not writing? How can you manifest the opportunity to be a writer as a profession if you are not writing? Can you even write if you're not practicing it every day? Can you even write in a skillful manner if you're not practicing it every day? Yet you expect somebody to offer you a job to be a writer because you're waiting for reality to give you permission. You're waiting to you've got this strange idea. People have this strange idea that if they visualize being something whilst actively resisting being something, they'll just wake up one day and they'll be that thing and their life will reflect that. You know, you'll just wake up one day and you'll be a successful YouTuber with no videos because you've not been giving yourself permission to make videos. You'll wake up one day and you'll be a successful writer, yet you never write and you've not even practiced writing. This is the issue with this mentality. You're waiting for reality to give you permission that is yours to give. And until you give yourself that permission, nothing's going to change. You know, when I was younger, I actually planned for a life where I would just hide from everybody. Like that was the future I was seeing then. The contrast of being that person and being who I am today is huge. And I did that because I gave myself permission. I gave myself permission to become that version of myself. And I chose to be uncomfortable. I chose to walk into my fear and be uncomfortable for a while. And that is an inevitable thing you are going to have to do if you want to change. Think back to when I filmed my first YouTube video. Like, if you watch my first YouTube video, I was one colour when I started the video, and then by the end I was a different colour because I was just so nervous, and I was like an awkward robot tomato. I was like, I had no animation to me whatsoever. I was one colour, then I was tomato red by the end of it, and I was just so awkward. Like, and then literally, if you watch probably just like maybe three or four videos later, I was way more relaxed, and that's because I kept doing it. And I grew very quickly. I became comfortable with that new action very quickly, but at first it was so uncomfortable. I was like, I hated watching myself as well. I was like, is that really what I sound like? And it was just really uncomfortable and scary. But then I kept doing it, and very quickly it became my new comfortable because I stretched myself. But I had to make the decision to be uncomfortable in order to stretch myself into a new version of myself, a new comfort zone. I had to make the choice to be uncomfortable. If I didn't choose to make that video, the stretch would not have happened, and I would have stayed as that version of me. And YouTube is just one example. I did this in my entire life. I chose to show myself in my entire life. And there were times where it was uncomfortable. But it's what led to me being a different version of myself, the version I am today. Because I chose to be uncomfortable for a while. So I stepped into a new comfort zone. And I got a new reality because of it, because our reality changes to the degree we do. So if you're not willing to change on all levels, your reality is not going to change. You are going to have to give yourself permission to embody that version of you in all of its imperfection. You know, I posted that video looking like a goddamn tomato with shitty filming equipment, and I kept doing it anyway. You have to give yourself permission to whatever it is you want to do. If you want to be a writer, you have to give yourself permission to write and share your writing, even if you think it won't be received. Even if you feel like you're going to be deeply embarrassed, even if you think one day you'll regret the things you say, you have to give yourself permission to do it. You have to give yourself permission to be embarrassed, to be uncomfortable, to wish you hadn't said certain things, because that's a natural part of life. You have to give yourself permission to do it anyway, in all of its imperfection. Because how do you get better at something? By doing it. You cannot improve anything unless you're doing it. You have to give yourself permission to do it, in all of its imperfection. There are things I look back on that I would improve if I could. But I'm very glad that I did those things, because I see, even like with my videos on YouTube, I see how every video I do, I like, even just looking at 2 videos back, I look at them and I think I'd say something differently, or I see it slightly differently now, because I'm continuously growing, because I'm doing it. I'm allowing myself to take the action that allows me to grow. But this journey of improvement doesn't happen if we are not moving. You have to give yourself, no matter how afraid you are, if you want to make YouTube videos but you're telling yourself you don't have the filming equipment, you're telling yourself I blush too much in my videos, you're telling yourself I don't say things as articulate as I want to, or you're saying to yourself, but it's really embarrassing for me to speak about these things I want to talk about. It's really embarrassing for me to share my work. It's embarrassing to put myself out there, whatever it is. You know, take it how it applies to what you're doing. If you don't give yourself permission to begin that journey of improvement, nothing's going to improve, because life is continuous growth. There is no destination where you'll think, oh, you know, I put that thing out there and there's nothing I could have done better and I'm now perfect and everything I say and do is perfect. That does not exist. It's continuous growth and expansion and improvement, but that does not happen if we are refusing to give ourselves permission to take action. and put ourselves out there in whichever way applies to us and our journey. And also, something we don't realize from our limited perspective is that even the people who we look at and we think are really successful are literally just on the same journey as we are. They're also putting themselves out there, getting embarrassed sometimes, wishing they'd done things in a different way, looking back and thinking, I could have said that in a more articulate manner. They're also on the exact same journey. The only difference between them and you is that they are giving themselves permission to do it anyway and you aren't. That's the only difference. They are giving themselves permission to feel embarrassment, to do things that they wish they could have done a little bit better. They're giving themselves permission to do things and, it not be perfect. They're giving themselves permission to take action anyway, regardless of perfection. And you aren't. They're on the exact same journey you are. It's just that they're moving along it and you aren't. You're staying at the beginning, refusing to move. And they're not. They're giving themselves permission to move forward anyway, experiencing and feeling all the same things that you are. That's the only difference between you and these successful people that you look at and probably think they're not experiencing these things. You probably look at them and think, all the actions they take are perfect. They know exactly how it's going to turn out. They're never looking back and thinking they could have said something or done something better. They're never getting embarrassed. You're just seeing the action they are taking, the action that they're giving themselves permission to take while you aren't. Many people who are trying to manifest things have this idea of like a destination. And when I say you are going to have to go through a period of uncomfortability, that does not mean I'm saying that you'll then achieve this perfect space where you'll never have to be uncomfortable again and life will be perfect. This unrealistic expectation of life it's not how things are. Growth is continuous, and when you stretch yourself into one comfort zone, naturally it's human nature, you will then want something else and you'll be then having to stretch yourself into another comfort zone, and that's totally natural and healthy for the sake of continuous growth and expansion. And I also think that this idea of people, especially younger people, have this idea of I will manifest the things I want and then my life will be perfect, I'll have achieved what I want, I'll be happy for the rest of my life and this will be it. And in a sense, that expectation is actually preventing your happiness. It really is. Expecting everything to be perfect once you've achieved a certain thing, that is going to prevent your happiness. Okay? Accepting that life is continuous growth and expansion, it's continuous change, it's continuous ups and downs, because life it's alive, like it's breathing, it's up and down. It's like, like the sea waves come in, they come out. It's life, and all the ups and the downs give us something that we need, okay? But if you expect life to just continuously be up, not only are you going to miss out on all the wisdom that the downs are offering you, but that expectation is going to make those downs painful for you, okay? Accepting the natural flow of life and accepting the wisdom it's offering you and the growth and the expansion that it is offering you actually leads to a deeper contentment, a deeper happiness that could ever be achieved from expecting life to just be one way forever. Okay, so that's just another aspect I wanted to mention. It's like when I was in my early 20s and I decided that I just had enough of things not changing and I decided to face my fears and be uncomfortable. I empowered myself into the woman I am today, and now today I'm now facing other fears. I'm continuing to grow. Now I'm recognizing more things, more areas where I can expand, more areas where I can stretch myself, and I'm walking into it because I understand that's the way to continue improving and to continue experiencing more life in its fullness and continue receiving the wisdom and the growth that life is offering me. That never ends. It's not like you're just going to face your fears and you'll have no more fears. It just doesn't work like that. That's not life. And you wouldn't want it to be, Because a natural part of being human is that we always want more. That's a natural part of being human that many people in the spiritual community reject. But this aspect of being human, in my opinion, is only negative when we don't have awareness of it. When we don't have awareness of it, we become kind of desperate people that are always trying to get more and are always trying to substitute our lack of contentment with physical gain. When we recognize that we're always going to have this desire for more, it's human nature, it then becomes balanced and we're able to just see it and just sit with it and not be driven by it, okay? And that's very important. When you achieve one goal, you are going to then have another goal. It's human nature. Recognize this, have self-awareness with it so that it does not own you. And if you do that, you'll have a deeper level of contentment that's not dependent on constantly achieving things or not achieving things. Chasing happiness and trying to make everything perfect continuously and having this expectation of life to be perfect continuously. It's like the difference between swimming in the waves and trying to swim against the wave. It's the difference, and it makes a huge difference to your life. It makes a huge difference between actually being able to have a deeper level of contentment that isn't based on needing reality to be perfect all the time. And it's also the difference between receiving the wisdom and the growth we're meant to receive, because the moments where we go down is so beneficial for us. You know, I think probably, for sure actually, I've learnt more and I've grown more from the pain I've experienced in my life. You know, I really have. It's just this beautiful thing about being human. It's like we get put through these really difficult experiences and it does expand us and we alchemize it and we become more because of it. And that's just an amazing thing about life. But if you're expecting things to be perfect all the time, you'll miss out on that growth, because the downs are always going to come. You know, we breathe out and we have to breathe in. The waves come in and they have to go out. You know, it's just life and it's healthy and it all gives us something. The highs and the lows give us something. And it's really important to recognize for your own peace and contentment in life. And when we recognize this, for me, then when the lows come, you don't get swept away with them, because you just understand it's just the lungs breathing back in again. It's just the waves going back out again, you know, and you just recognize this ebb and flow of life, and then you don't get carried away with any of it, you know. Now, when something happens and things go into a more low period, you just kind of accept it and you just understand that it's part of life and it's okay. So this expectation we have of life, needing it to be comfortable all the time, needing it to be perfect all the time, really keeps us away from so much growth within ourselves and therefore within our lives. Because when we grow, we change, and therefore the reflection we are getting changes. So if you're refusing to have these experiences that allow you to change and grow, like being uncomfortable, you're resisting your life changing. It's like this is the resistance to being uncomfortable. Allowing yourself to be uncomfortable, allowing yourself to take new actions that will be uncomfortable at first, will change you. Anyway, I really hope this video has helped you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.